Fat, black, and ugly in Times Square is wild. Like, they really think we're a joke. Like, that big behind, 12-foot, overweight black woman in the middle of Times Square, that is what they chose to represent us? Like, that's what they think about.
Welcome to The Delicate Dynamic with your host, Daquana White. Tune in for deep thoughts, dope vibes, and all the drama. You can join the Delicate Dynamic podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube, and Instagram. Let's drift into this week's episode.
Welcome back to The Delicate Dynamic. I am your host, Daquana White. It has been quite a while. I know, don't come for me in the comments, but nonetheless, we are back, and I think this is the perfect time for my return. I'm a little rusty, but I am mic'd up. Hopefully the mic is doing okay. If not, I'll try to fix that audio on my end. Please stay tuned to the end if you do want to see book content, what we're reading in May, and we will review in June. I'll post those books at the end if you are interested in that content. In this episode, we will lean into some of the more complex, sometimes really uncomfortable social conversations that are happening around us and just try to get a better handle on them and a better understanding. We're digging into something that clearly struck a nerve for many people. It has been called disgusting, mammyish, and monstrous. Actually, here, I'm gonna let y'all listen for yourselves, okay?
Fat, black, and ugly in Times Square is wild. Like, they really think we're a joke. Like, that big behind, 12-foot, overweight black woman in the middle of Times Square, that is what they chose to represent us? Like, that's what they think about us, y'all. Big, overweight, just, there's nothing attractive about the statue. There's nothing appeasing. It's like this monster of a black woman who's dominating. Like, y'all know what it gives? This aggressive, overpowering, masculine black woman. That's what the statue gives. It does not give anything feminine, soft, strong, powerful, fit. No, it's a big, black, fat, overweight woman in the middle of Times Square to take pictures of. Y'all, they really be playing with us. And until we recognize what is happening out here, they're gonna keep playing with us. They're gonna keep playing with us because we play with ourselves. Baby, this is wild. Wild.
Wow. There you have it. Okay. We're talking about the intense public reaction to a statue of a black woman that was recently installed in Times Square, if you haven't caught the drift from the title or the intro. And I just want to give my perspective, and I will break it down into about 8 to 9 different talking points. This is the statue at hand. Let's read the synopsis from the artist's website. So let's hear their words. Times Square Arts is pleased to present Grounded in the Stars, a 12-foot tall figurative bronze sculpture by artist Thomas J. Price, whose multidisciplinary practice confronts preconceived notions of identity and representation. With Grounded in the Stars, Price reimagines both the monument and monumentality, did I say that correct? Hopefully, in Times Square, one of the world's most iconic public spaces. A fictionalized character constructed from images, observations, and open calls spanning between Los Angeles and London. For those who say, this is how they see Black American women. Okay. The young woman depicted and Grounded in the Stars carries familiar qualities from her stance and countenance, hopefully I said that correctly, to her everyday clothing. In her depiction, one recognizes a shared humanity, yet the contrapposto, I learned that, okay, pose of her body and the ease of her stance. And it is a subtle nod to Michelangelo's David, which is pictured here. studied that in school as well. Through scale, materiality, and posture, Grounded in the Stars disrupts traditional ideas around what defines a triumphant figure and challenges who should be rendered immortal through monumentalization. Okay, fancy. Installed at ground level on a wide load base, the work invites engagement with the hundreds of thousands of people who traverse the plazas every day. The woman in Grounded in the Stars cuts a stark contrast to the pedestaled permanent monuments, both white, both men, which bookend Duffy Square, while embodying a quiet gravity and grandeur. In a culture that increasingly encourages a faster pace, Grounded in the Stars is an introspective meditation on humanity. Price's work offers viewers a unique opportunity to experience Times Square in a new light and share a moment of personal reflection and empathy amidst the hyperactivity of the district. Now, similar to the scale aspect of this piece, Price has actually done other similar works, such as those pictured here from his Resilience of Scale installation, which I think is beautiful. He also has some other pieces, which I will also add to the screen so you guys can take a look at. Now, let's get into my take on the statue, the controversy, and where I feel like it went wrong. Now, listen. The rhetoric I heard surrounding the statue, the black woman statue in New York, is going viral, and it's disgusting it's like a social experiment, to be honest. Half of the world are disgusted by it. The other half is like fighting for the right of a statue, for the right for art to exist. And I really felt strongly that I feel like you need to pick a side. This is not something that you kind of, I guess, ride the fence on, if that makes sense. Like, maybe you don't think the statue should have been put up to combat the two white statues of men in Times Square, right? Maybe you don't agree with it for that specific reason. And honestly, that is completely okay. And I feel like if that's where you stand, you can stop right there. The problem is when the conversation doesn't stop right there, with disagreeing on the statue's purpose or whether it should have been a black man or whatever the case, right? The face of diversity shouldn't be a black woman. We understand. But it went further than that. Okay? It took a nasty turn and it attacked the looks of the statue. Instead of stopping at, the comments became, yeah, that's disgusting. That's ugly. That's monstrous. That is the worst of the worst in our community. She should not be represented. She doesn't represent all of us. She's fat. She's sloppy. She's ugly. I was thinking, like, how do we get from simply saying you don't think it should represent all black women to calling it ugly, a mammy, monstrous, disgusting, fat, sloppy? How do we get there? And then in the same breath, you bring up, well, black women aren't a monolith, right? You use it to say things like, this statue doesn't represent me because I'm skinny. It doesn't represent me because I wear better bras than that. It doesn't represent me because I would never dress like that, aka a t-shirt and some slacks. Come on now. Seriously, like, you really got to be kidding me. Like, the talk around this statue's body was already very ugly, very nasty, very hateful, very evil. Why does your criticism scream self-hate? Okay, when you start calling a statue ugly, monstrous, mammyish, you're not just disagreeing with the representation or why the statue was put here. You're jogging. No, you're actually sprinting into the category of self-hate. Because then when others say, oh, well, this looked like my cousin, my aunt, my friend, my neighbor, you're essentially telling them, well, your neighbor, your friend, your mother, your mammy shouldn't look like that. She should look better. Okay? And speaking of mothers, a lot of you hate your mother, and that shows too. And the way you talk about people who are overweight, and the way you talk about the relationships, and this is just other conversations, the relationships in which your mother, how she coddled the boys and did this and that. And it's like, those are things you need to unpack. Right? And I get it. I was once a woman who had mommy issues as well, and I had to unpack it. Okay? You're saying people who look like this statue should go lose weight, go put on makeup, throw on a bust down, maybe even get a BBL, go to the gym, hit the gym, Get some etched abs or something so you can be seen as acceptable. Y'all are the same people who say you don't want white acceptance or you don't need acceptance from other races. But if you truly loved yourself and built a safe community, you wouldn't be aching or yearning for representation in white spaces, right? You wouldn't want to take up white space. You would take up your own space. You have to pick a side and stick to it. Your self-hate is really showing. I heard some really weak arguments, okay, on racism. Some argued that the statue subjected Black women to more racism. Okay, you could have stopped right there. But then you went in on the statue's appearance, saying she needed a better outfit. She looked a mess. She ain't have on no makeup. Why she wearing a t-shirt? Her bra, she should have went to Victoria's Secret, Lane Bryant, whoever, and got a more supportive bra. I need to put this in your head, and I need to say it loudly and clearly so you hear me in the back. A racist is a racist is a racist. Just because you look nice, that is not going to stop racism. Lawyers, doctors, celebrities, actors, athletes, Black people in corporate America, mechanics, the everyday student, all face racism. Looking a certain way does not grant respect from somebody who simply hates your race. They might even use you, like to look at you, want to look like you, procreate with you. And when it all goes to hell, they still disrespect you and will slang that N-word. Okay? The statue could disappear tomorrow and a racist will still be a racist. The statue didn't open the door for racism. The racism already existed. Your arguments aren't landing in the way you thought they would. On the artists, the rhetoric is, they not like us. Okay? Complaining that the artist is biracial and not even from America. Same old story. All right? That's just like criticizing foreign actors who come to America using deep South accents, New Jersey, New York accents, or even Cali accents, and they do it so well. And y'all are very accepting of them and y'all love it. It's eye candy. It's, oh my goodness, I love them. When it's the, I guess, what you deem, what you like or what you're attracted to, it's okay. They can be Black. Yeah, they can come to the cookout, right? But when it's somebody who you don't deem as, I guess, attractive or whatever the case may be, or you feel like they insulted you, they not like us. They not like us. There's a counter argument for every point we make. And that is the point in having an opinion. But when your opinion is formed in your, you know where that's going. I don't know. I can't respect it. And I follow a lot of creators and I don't agree with everything they say every time. But to just be straight out hateful and fatphobic and just disgusting, that wasn't cool. And going back to the Black women are not a monolith, y'all love to say it, right? So if Black women aren't a monolith, why do you expect one statue to represent all Black women? You can never put the image of all Black women into one piece of art. That argument is weak. On her size, people ask, well, why does she have to be so big? She looks like maybe, a 10 or a 12, if that. If you go out here, you touch some grass, you'll see people who look exactly like this. Literally just existing. And that is okay. Go to the mall. Go to the supermarket. I promise, people who look just like that are existing. To expect all women to have flat stomachs, abs, thin thighs, perky everything, and a face full of makeup is unrealistic. Like I said, go to the mall. Not everybody is a supermodel. And if that offends you, you have to do some soul searching. Why are you offended by a Black woman who is maybe a size 10 or 12 just existing in a piece of art? Why are you offended by that? Let's address the fatphobia and body positivity, okay? Immediately criticizing the statue's size, calling her big, hideous, monstrous, was immediately moving into the lane of fatphobia. Y'all get offended if a plus size model is in active wear. because you assume they don't work out because they're fat. Did you know women with PCOS exist? I talk about it frequently. I am a woman with PCOS. I can gain weight extremely easily, and it's very difficult to lose weight. Yet and still, I am active. Working out actually helps with the symptoms of PCOS. It's not always just about losing weight. You hate if a fat woman works out, but then you also hate if she's fat and quote unquote not doing anything about it. Just say you're fatphobic and let's leave it there. People talked about Lizzo losing weight. That was, of course, an argument. Said she wasn't truly body positive. And if you actually knew, though, she's always been active from what we've seen, vegan or vegetarian, and even has an active and loungewear line, which I personally have worked with. She was a bigger woman. She has lost weight. What is the issue? For me, the whole idea of body positivity is being true to who you are in whatever phase your body is in. Whether I weigh 150 pounds or 450 pounds, I want to appreciate the body I have and the fact that I am here. I'm going to wear what I want to wear at any phase of my body, not what you want to see me in, okay? Not what you can stomach because you just throw up at the thought of a roll, the thought of cellulite, cover it up. We don't want to see a stretch mark. It's crazy. And honestly, you would have criticized the statue no matter what. Let's be for real. If it was a plus size woman in a floral dress, you would have called her a mammy. She belongs in the kitchen. She about to go call for all the kids to come downstairs. You would have did that. Y'all will never be satisfied. Ever. Now let's compare representation, okay? Because why do other cultures get it so right and Black Americans just get it so wrong? In my sarcastic voice. So some argue that other races choose the best of their best for representation. What even is the best? Have you seen other cultures? They love their women just because they are. That's it. Because they are. Because they exist. It's not about displaying mediocrity to represent all of them. It's simply about cherishing their women. They love them for being nurturing, healing, creating community, feeding souls, for existing. They don't require you to go through hoops in order to garner acceptance from your men or other counterparts. And let's take it a step further. Have you seen fine art? Are you cultured? Me personally, I have a degree in fine arts. Okay, I am trained in this. And I know people find that to be a funny comment to leave on posts. Oh, you must be the art major if everybody else in your family is a doctor or a lawyer or a businessman or whatever. Right? And if you really take a closer look at art within itself, it's very historical. It's a great representation of history. It actually told a story before some words were even formed to tell a story. So just because art is like a creative outlet doesn't mean it doesn't have significance or meaning. Just to get that out there. Some of the most famous artists were praised for depicting women simply how they exist. Okay, we're going to have a slideshow going on. Those women didn't have the quote unquote perfect bodies. They had natural breasts, regular stomachs, or what you would consider a gut, because that's what y'all said that lady had on that statue. People loved it because they could see themselves in the art. It was realistic. The Mona Lisa isn't even like the prettiest white woman to most people, but it's one of the most famous paintings, right? Isn't that something? To think, most of these paintings are average, quote unquote, regular, daily people we see on a daily. And they're praised. People love it, love to look at it. Beautiful. The real work is going to be looking inside. Before you speak on something, please be educated. Before dishing out self-hate, I want you to look within. Some of the people tearing this statue down are only 15 to 20 pounds away from looking just like this statue. And you felt the need to disparage her like that. What is truly wrong? Okay. She looked fine, honestly, regular degular. And I don't mean that offensively. Sometimes I look like, sometimes I look like that. And it's interesting because some of the women I saw tearing this statue down look just like her. Like I said, maybe 15 to 20 pounds away from her weight class, but everything else, braids, chilling, a little hand on a hip moment, plain tee, jeans or leggings, and it was okay. Some of the influencers I saw talking about this were definitely, they used to be on the plus side or the thicker side, lost some pounds, became socially acceptable, and started getting, I guess, that pretty privilege and saying, yeah, guys, it's true. When you lose weight, you get privilege. Come join me. Yet and still, let's get back into, is this the privilege you really want? In order to be quote unquote accepted in society, you have to look a certain way. Who wants to deal with people like that? I don't want access to different men or women because I lost weight. What happens if when I'm with that man or woman, I have a baby and I gain weight? What happens if my PCOS takes a turn and the weight starts coming back? Are you going to hate me? Are you going to leave me? What happens when I age and I get wrinkles and whatever? Are you going to hate me? Are you going to leave me? Why would I want access and privilege to people just as ignorant and dense who can only see looks that's very superficial? I want my connections to be way deeper than that. And you should want that too. This statue looked fine. Honestly, regular degular. And I don't mean that offensively. Shit, sometimes I look like that. I got locks. I don't wear makeup every day. I wear my leggings or activewear outside sometime, especially if I'm just running to the store or something, to the post office. And that's okay. Social media has emboldened you all. You would never come up to women in public in real life saying half of these ignorant things. They have given you guys a platform to be ignorant. It takes 5 minutes to look up a situation and not respond to it from an evil place so quickly. For instance, this is totally unrelated, but one of my favorite creators could have had a less cringeworthy stream if they simply would have looked up the theme to the Met Gala before commenting and misunderstanding basically all of the looks. And the ones that they did like weren't even on theme or on par. And I sat through that stream. Like I said, I can agree with different takes, different opinions, but it's just hard to listen when 5 minutes of research could have been done. 5 minutes of critically thinking and sitting with yourself before you made such hateful content and then double down on it. But back to the topic at hand, y'all let women of other races be average and basic and get praised for just existing. But for us, there's this long extended checklist. We don't get the privilege of just existing. Just be honest. If you wanted a BBL or slim thick IG model bust down jet black middle part or the 3B curly fro to be the inspo behind the statue, just say that. Just say that. And at the end of the day, if that statue was up there, that still wouldn't represent most Black American women. Be for real. So take a look at who is deemed worthy and sit with that. It's okay for a celebrity to wear this fit, but it's sloppy for a heavier Black American woman too. Like, look at these pictures here. Regular. Maybe she didn't have on a jacket. Maybe she didn't have a purse. Maybe she was at home just standing there in front of the TV looking at the weather for today. We don't know. She was just chilling. Ain't that Naomi Campbell right there? Anywho, it's time to do the work internally and start projecting hatred externally. Calling something monstrous and ugly when it looks like you, your cousin, your sister, whatever, it's just disgusting behavior. And it really just seemed like some of y'all just wanted a viral moment. And I'm concerned for the next generation, to be honest, to be raised in this social media society, learning that some of the people who made these videos are like, they lead groups for little girls, they teach, is shocking. I would snatch my daughter out of that group so fast if one of y'all was leading anything. I would not want my daughter to be taught like that or to think like that. To say teaching self-love and you're beautiful in every phase of your life is ignorant and untrue and setting your kids up for failure, that's a disgusting take. I'm sorry. And it also gives, you guys are raising bullies if you do have children, because with that mentality, they're going to school and they're spewing that. That's why the quote unquote fat kids are getting bullied, right? And y'all are okay with that. Lose some weight, put down a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, push away from the table. Like, come on. But I hope y'all actually get raised better, aka by your therapist. I hope y'all are raising them better, aka your kids. And seriously, I hope y'all go to therapy. I'm not playing, because I want you to feel better about yourself. Again, the self-hate was definitely being projected, and it was just spilling out. And if you don't find it to be self-hate, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was. You may not be a fat woman, but you hate the majority, I guess, of your community. It was hatred. And again, if you packed on a couple pounds, you would look just like that statue. For those who are skinny and critiquing. Anywho, wow. That was a lot to take in. And it's clear that the conversation around this statue quickly moved past a simple critique of the art or the placement into something much more personal and, quite frankly, painful. What started as a potential disagreement about its purpose or its location devolved into really harsh attacks on appearances, and it was directly linked to deeper issues of self-hate, fatphobia, and unrealistic beauty standards. Your outward appearance doesn't magically protect you against racism, and I challenge all of us to look inward and cultivate self-love and acceptance for the beautiful, diverse bodies that exist in this world. Okay? Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Delicate Dynamic Podcast. I hope this discussion gives you a new perspective to consider, and I hope we all strive for more understanding and less judgment when it comes to complex conversations like this. I will be back next time, and I think I'm going to end this with, who needs a racist when the race hates themselves? Collectively. But let's go ahead and hop into our May reads, which we will discuss in June. So, I am in the middle of Legendborn by Tracy Dion. It is a fantasy. I don't think it's considered romance, to be honest, but I feel like I'm getting into a little bit of the romance, so it might be a little bit. It is young adult. After reading Fourth Wing, I kind of ventured off into fantasy, and Legendborn actually takes place in North Carolina. I want to say it's at UNC Chapel Hill, if I'm not mistaken, and it's like a early college program, so it's some 17, 18-year-olds kind of getting into the magic and all of that good stuff. But nonetheless, I'm in the middle of Legendborn. That is a May read. I did finish The Housemaid, which is something like a drama, suspense, thriller, but not too thrilling. But I'll just say a little suspenseful drama, and very interesting. And I guess it kind of leads into romance a little bit. Moving into 2 Kennedy Ryan books for the month of May. We have Can't Get Enough, which dropped, I want to say May 13th. I just picked up my copy today. And then Long Shot. A lot of people have been talking about both of these books. Everybody was waiting for Can't Get Enough. It's the 3rd book in the Skyland series, I believe. And then Long Shot, I want to say is it called Hoop Dreams? I'm not sure what the series is called, but Long Shot, everybody talks about it. I think it's about it's like a basketball love story or something of that nature. Not sure. I like to go into books without knowing sometimes. Then we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and this is the 3rd book in the Empyrean series? I just know, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and then Onyx Storm. So I finished Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in the month of April. So this month I do want to finish Onyx Storm. And lastly, which is a hopeful, is going to be Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. Not too sure what this is about. And like I said, I don't care. I like to just pop open a book and be surprised. Okay. Join me in the month of June, probably at the beginning of June, to review these books. And then by then, we will discuss our June reads and kind of keep it on a cycle like that. Sorry for giving you my May reads in the middle of May. My intention was to do it at the beginning of May. Yet, here we are. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for joining. Our book content will be separate from our podcast topics just to keep some organization here on the Delicate Dynamic pages. But once again, thank you so much for joining. I hope you did enjoy this podcast episode, and I also hope you will partake in some of these May reads so we can come back in the month of June and discuss them.
Thanks for listening. I would love to hear your feedback on this episode. Be sure to leave your thoughts in a comment. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.